Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, and I am joined here by Matt Davies, who is a journalist for Reach, social media editor, and covers Nottingham Forest. And this is a little bit more about James Garner, because I bank that not many Everton fans know him and watched him last year. So first of all, thank you for joining me, Matt.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
The first question I've got is, obviously he was a Manchester United player, but was on loan at Forest. Tell us a little bit more about him. United fans said that he'd hardly played for them, so Forest fans are probably the best ones to ask about him.
Yeah, he's a kind of a box-to-box creative midfielder, but he's not lightweight or anything like that. He does a lot of good work off the ball, and he'll put himself about and put tackles in. He's not the most physical, but he'll get around the park. He takes a really good corner. I don't know if he'll get on corners for Everton or who you have taken him at the moment, but his dead ball deliveries were a big asset last season. And he can chip in with a few goals and a few assists. He's a bit of an all-rounder, really. He can play a couple of different roles. I don't know if he's a bit like a Nana or something like you've signed, where exactly he fits in. But I think Everton have got a really good deal for the price, which you might come on to. So I think it's good business for them.
So I take it by that then, we were all sort of assuming he might be a deeper line playmaker, but I take it by that he's somebody who's going to pick up the ball, charge forward with it, create chances. Does he score many goals as well when he does that?
Well, he can play as a deeper playmaker as well. If you want someone who's going to be that kind of quarterback, I don't like that term particularly, but someone who can sit in the middle of the park and keep things ticking over like Andre Gomez or something like that. I'm not sure if you want him to do that, he can, but similarly, he's someone who can arrive late in the box. He's not a player who's going to beat 4 or 5. He's not that kind of player, but he can time his runs and he can break forwards when needed. I think, like I say, he's a bit of an all-round. He's still young. I think Lampard can mould his game, and if obviously Lampard with his pedigree as a midfielder, he might be a really good person to work with. So I think he can make a difference to Everton from what I've seen of them so far this season, certainly.
And how you said he could sort of stay back and control. How is his tackling? How is his defensive side, his interceptions, his tackling?
There's a bit in the playoff final for Forest when they played Huddersfield where they got caught out down the wing and he comes running back 40, 50 yards and slides in and clatters the guy and concedes a corner. And that was one of his kind of hallmarks. He reads the game well, and if you caught out position, he can get across. There's a little bit of the kind of skulls about him in that he might mistime the odd one, but he'll work hard for the team. He's not going to be the enforcer, but he'll get across the park well. I don't know if you need someone with energy who's going to cover a lot of ground in your midfield. I think he might fit in well in that sense, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Onana and Iwobi cover a lot of ground, but I think it's a bit harsh to ask for Iwobi to be a defensive-sided player. I think he's much more run and create. You've mentioned his corners. I have heard that he's a bit of a set-piece specialist. Would you agree with that? He probably would take our corners, but how are his free kicks as well? Because free kick takers at Everton are something to be desired.
Did he score a free kick for Forest? He was on them quite a lot and he hit the target quite a lot. I don't remember many flying in. So I don't know if he's going to be that difference maker there. I think it's more his free kicks from out wide to put a good ball in the box. I think that's where his biggest asset is. He could be on free kicks for you, and trying to score, but I wouldn't be banking on him to, ping one in from 40 yards or 30 yards or something like that. I don't think he's that player for you.
I think that'll do. We've got Yerry Mina, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Tarkowski. If we can just get somebody who can put it on a plate for one of those big lads, I think that'll do for us. What are his strengths and his weaknesses then?
I think there was a couple of games last season where he didn't really assert himself on the game. So I'm thinking like Bournemouth away, where they had Lerma and Billing in midfield, who are two quite big physical players. I think if he gets outnumbered with the physical players against him, then that's somewhere where he might struggle. I don't know if let's say you're playing a 2 or a 3, in midfield, and if there's a 3 and against him, sometimes he did struggle there. I think his strengths are his passing, certainly, his dead balls, his energy, his ability to get back in when you're in trouble, that kind of stuff. I think he's going to be a good team man. I mean, from what I saw of Everton so far this season, I think they need maybe that bit of creativity would certainly help, and I think he can provide that. Obviously, you need a striker and you sign Mopé. You don't need me to tell you what you need in that sense, but I think he can be an asset for you. Certainly, the price you paid. I mean, I think you've got a steal there. I think United might have a buyback clause. You might know better than me, but I think you've stolen a march on a couple of clubs there. If he's 10 to 15 million.
Well, I was going to say I'll go on to the fee, but I think the first question a lot of us had when we were linked with him is obviously Forest have signed a lot of players this window. It's been a very good window for them. Garner was reportedly of interest. Why have they not gone back? A lot of Everton fans have found it a bit suspicious that Forest didn't go back for him during this mass spending.
So I think that what would have happened is Forest needed to move quickly because there's a lot of the players from including Garner, who got them promoted, went back. So they were left with really the kids and 5 or 6 players from the team that got promoted. So they needed to move quickly, and they signed Lewis O'Brien, who's kind of a similar profile player to Garner, and then they went and got Mangala and Freuler. So then they ended up, I think, with 3 or 4 Kouyaté as well. So they've got 4 new central midfielders in, plus Ryan Yates and Jack Collier. So suddenly they've got 6 players in that area, with United still waiting to know what they were going to do with him while Ten Hag had a look. And now it has got to the point where if Garner comes in, is he going to get enough games to justify the move to the City ground when you've already got 6 players there? I mean, maybe Everton are a bit shorter in that area than Forest are. So I think that's why Forest waited. I mean, if you're going back to the start of the window, every Forest fan would have loved to have signed James Garner, and a lot of them still would now. I just saw, and speaking on our podcast, it became a case of, do you need him really when there's other areas of the team that need strengthening?
Okay, that's fair enough. That puts a lot of doubt that people had out of their mind, because that was one of the major ones that people were on about. We mentioned the fee. The reported fee is said to be £8 million, rising to 15 million. Do you think this is a good deal for Everton? And do you think he's worth more than that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you look at the kind of the premium that you pay for English players. Using Forest as an example, they've had to pay 25 million up front for Morgan Gibbs-White, and it could rise to 42 million. So to get Garner for 8 million, he's an England under-21 international. He's played a lot of football, or admittedly in the Championship. He's played a lot of senior football already. So 8 million rising to 15 million, assuming some of those bonuses are Everton staying in the Premier League this season. I think it's a great deal. You look at the money that other clubs have had to spend to get players in. Yeah, I think Everton have done really well there, which is maybe not something you've said a lot about Everton's transfer business in the last few years.
No, certainly not. I think this window's been one of the ones where we seem to be a little bit with improvement. It's not something we're used to, doing good buys for cheap. What else can you tell us about Garner that we might have missed?
I think he'll win fans over quickly. The Forest fans loved him because of his attitude. You know, a lone player coming in, sometimes they don't fancy it. His first time he came to Forest was off the back of a difficult loan spell at Watford, where he hadn't got the game time he wanted, and he came into pretty average team under Chris Hughton, really bought in, and then wanting to come back the next season, even though Forest, last season we didn't think Forest were going to challenge, but he was there. His family came to love the club as well. So I think that kind of attitude of the player is what you need. I mean, he's coming into a sort of similar situation at Everton, isn't he? It's not the best time for the football club. You're hoping things are going to improve. So his attitude, I think, is going to win Everton fans over quickly if he gets regular games.
And finally, overall, do you think this is a good move for not just us, but for the player himself? Do you think this is the right move to establish himself in a team?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was surprised he didn't get an opportunity at Man United this season, early doors, when, you saw Fred and McTominay still in the middle. I guess Ten Hag doesn't want to hang his hat on a player who hasn't played any Premier League football. But now you see United have brought in Casemiro, and they want to play Martinez in midfield some games or something weird. So I think the writing was probably on the wall for him that he either needs to go out on loan again or make that permanent step away. And it needed to be in the Premier League this time. He couldn't really go back to the Championship again. So he's looked at it. I think it was Leicester and Southampton and Leeds might have been the other clubs that were mentioned. I think Everton's a good fit for him. He's probably going to get games there. Lampard's obviously, like I said, been a brilliant midfielder, and maybe staying in the northwest as well, an area familiar to him with his family still around him. Might just help him settle. It's the first big permanent move away for him. So yeah, I think it ticks a lot of boxes for all parties, certainly.
Yeah, he's relatively local lad round here as well. He's off the Wirral, so it's just the other side of the Mersey. I think he's from Birkenhead, so very local to him as well and his family. That is everything we've got time for, though, guys. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Comment your thoughts on Garner down below. Matt, I just want to say one more time, thank you for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope Everton have a good season. A great club, obviously. It'd be good to see them thriving again soon.
Likewise with Forest, I hope all these signings gel and have a really good season. Take care, mate, and I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers.